Hi, folks. This is John with Remodeling Wizards of Maryland, and I'm here today to talk with you about a question that I get often, and that is, how do I know which contractor to select to work in my home? Well, there's a lot of answers to that question. There's a lot of different criteria that you should look at in order to make that decision. I'm going to talk about one of them today. This is not the most important criteria, believe it or not. But the one I'm going to talk about is price. It's not the most important. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we go through and talk about other reasons and other criteria. You'll see why price should not be number one in your mind. But let's talk about it because it comes up often. Okay, let's say, for example, that you're getting a project done at your home and you get three bids. Okay. Some people say you should get four bids. Some people say three. Some people say two. Some people don't get bids at all. They just talk to somebody that they're comfortable with. And we can talk about that in another video, which is the secret magic number. But in this particular case, we're going to use three. So out of the three bids, you have a contractor that says to you that I can do the project for $10,000. We have another contractor that says I can do it for $16,000. And then a third contractor says, I can do the same project for $15,000. So what do? Well, based on those numbers, you might think to yourself, heck, that's an easy answer. I'm going to hire the guy at 10. I'll save myself five or $6,000 and get the project done. Will you? Think about it. Why is he at 10 and the other two are five and $6,000 more? Well, it could be pretty simple. The guy at 10 just doesn't have the same markup. Maybe he's working just to keep his guys busy. Maybe he's not making any money at all. He's just working for me without a profit. Does that make a lot of sense, by the way? Be working without a profit. I mean, think about it. If he's working for you without a profit, that's because the last job he was on, he worked without a profit. And the job before that, he's in the hole. Hopefully, he's going to be in business between the time that you sign the contract and give him a deposit and the time that the work begins. Or is he going to still be in business halfway through your project as he sees himself losing money day after day after day? So that's not a good criteria. We don't want that contractor. We want the contractor that's making a good profit because that's the contractor that's going to be around the long haul. That's the contractor that we're going to be able to rely on when it's time to have some additional work done or even just to handle warranty or service work. Now, the other reason why this contractor may be less in your mind is because he's able to hire employees, carpenters, for less than the other two. Here again, not a real good reason to hire that contractor. If he's hiring carpenters for less, what type of carpenter is he hiring? Because a good carpenter can demand a high wage, and they should, because they get the job done on time. They get the job done the right way. It looks good. Sometimes they can get that job done in half the time, but it's because they're skilled at what they do. So we don't want to be paying a half price carpenter. We don't want a half price carpenter in our home so that we can save money. We want a full fledged professional be working in the house, and that person is going to be able to demand more money. And in fact, I can argue with you, I want the contractor that pays the most to his carpenters because I'm getting the best. There's a reason why people pay the most because they're trying to attract the best talent. That's the talent you want in your home. Now, the other thing is, well, where else can he save some money? Why is his price different than the others? Well, maybe what he's doing is he's getting the material for less. Well, that could happen. Well, I'm not sure how. I mean, think about it. Have you ever heard of inflation? Go to the supermarket and buy eggs, and you'll know what I mean by inflation. Prices are not coming down, they're going up. So hopefully, they'll start to level off. Chances are they aren't going to go backwards. I haven't seen that in all the years that I've been in this business. The only time that they go up and then they drop down is like right after a hurricane or something like that. There's a disaster that all of a sudden there's a big demand for lumber. And then when all that lumber is purchased, then it drops down again. But this is a little different what we're going through now. This inflation is not just for wood and for drywall, it's for eggs and milk. So, so think about that. In order for someone to get material at a lower price, well, maybe that window or that door that they're purchasing is not the same quality. There are a lot of tricks in the trade. You just, the old saying is you get what you pay for. So I wouldn't use that as a good criteria that he's getting less for material. So I'd be very concerned about the person at $10,000. So now I'm going over to the other two. One's at 15, one's at 16. Well, that seems pretty reasonable to me. They're close. So natural answer, go with the one at $15,000. Okay. But yet, I don't know if I would do that if it were me, because I do. I hire contractors all the time. I hire subcontractors every single day. Our subcontractors do things like electric and plumbing. We do all the rest, but they do electric and plumbing. It's something that you have to have a license for. You want the right person in your home doing your electrical and your plumbing work. When we look at that, we don't even look at the price at this point. We look at somebody that we know for sure is going to get the job done. And how do we know that? Because we have a history with these companies. And it's the same thing here. Let's say that somebody came in at $15,000, somebody you just met. They can do the job for 15. The guy that's doing the job for 16 is somebody that's worked for you in the past. They showed up on time, they communicated, they protected your valuables in your home, they looked after you, and they made sure that the job at the end of the day was exactly what you wanted. And if you needed to make an adjustment, they made the adjustments. And when you called them 6 months later and said, listen, I have something going on, I need you to come out and take a look at it, they're Johnny on the spot. They pick up the phone, they send somebody out. Now they charge $16,000. The unknown is at 15. In that case, I would highly recommend pay the $16,000. Get the more expensive contractor. So these are the things that you need to look at as you're making decisions on who you want to hire. But when it comes to price, don't put price on the top. Okay, there's a lot of other criteria. And the other criteria that you should be thinking about is more so than price is what is your budget? So let's say that you decide, that guy at 16,000 is the best one for me. I've had experience and I want my job done right. I'm going to pay 16,000, but my budget's 12. So what do you do next? Well, that we're going to cover on our next video. Thanks for listening.